5678.
Hey, this is for all bachata lovers out there. Taking it to another level.
Welcome back to the 5678 podcast. It's your boy Brandon, aka DJ 5678. I'm here with Prophex today.
Hey,
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
Doing great. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. That's our first time meeting up here in the beautiful mountains. It's
In the wilderness.
Yes, in the wilderness. It's a great setting. Well, it was earlier. It's kind of cold now, but it's all good. The first thing that we like to do on this show is just kind of talk about people's start, how they get into the bachata community, how they get into the Latin dance community. So let's hear yours. How'd you get into it?
Well, first I was a DJ when I was around 16. I was a DJ for different groups that were not bachata. They were like more merengue. I got to travel a lot with groups, and then later on I worked at a studio, and in order for me to get time to record like hip hop and stuff like that, I had to assist the owner of the studio, who was a bachata producer, with bachata. I had to assist him with engineering, so I learned how to record the instruments, record the stuff, and that's, aside from growing up on listening to bachata from my parents and me coming from Dominican Republic, which is always like la música nacional from Dominican Republic, as far as being in the flow of things of music production and the way the instruments work, that was my start. As far as my beginnings in the social dance thing was with one song that was called We Love Bachata. I wrote the song for another group because they were going to the festival in Australia. It happened to be that they couldn't get their visas, they couldn't get their stuff straight, so the guy had heard the song. He was like, hey, can you come and sing the song? So I went all the way to Australia. My first festival, my first experience with the dancing community, with social dance, and all, well, that was my first experience.
And how was that experience?
It was super because I met great people while I was there. It's the first time I got to meet Taka Alemana, Leslie Ferreira, Serena Cuevas, and a bunch of other people that later on became really important to the community. Nestor from Australia, who passed away, rest in peace. That's one of the first festivals in the world that did actually a bachata festival, and I got to be part of that. And forever grateful with those guys for getting the opportunity, and also, me as a producer and as a writer gave me the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. Walk us a little bit through what it's like writing and producing songs. This podcast is focused more so on, a lot of dancers and their aspect,
Exactly.
Them coming up in the dance scene and their struggles and everything. But obviously, as a writer, as a producer, that struggle is a whole different type of story. It's a whole different type of experience. So explain to me what your process is like writing and producing.
Well, most of my writing always comes from experience. As far as the romantic songs, stuff I've been to as younger, or at the times where I was in love, or some of my friends have situations that they're going through, or stories you hear, about, hey, homegirl left them and she got with another dude and now he's heartbroken and all he does is drink, which is basically comes down to what bachata is.
Yeah.
It's la música del amargue. Everybody always associates bachata with heartbreak and drinking.
Right.
So, my process is I always have my ears open. I've written songs about movies, so anything that can come to mind as far as being creative is my process. I never stick to one type of way of coming up with these things. And also, the dancer world is very nutrient to me because I can understand what dancers want, and I kind of try to make songs for them too.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was something that needed to be. Because honestly, for me, coming from Dominican Republic and seeing what the genre has become there, what's keeping bachata alive is the dancing.
Absolutely.
You understand? So I figure that the dancers and the social dance world is very important to what bachata is today.
So when you write your music, do you write it catering particularly to dancers, or do you
Some songs,
Okay.
not all, but I give them the love that I think needs to be there, or I talk about things that maybe only them will understand.
Yeah. And what about stylistically?
Yeah, I have my own style of interpreting I bring my hip hop and R&B roots to what bachata is, and also as far as fusioning the musicality of bachata, I try to mix it like bachata mixed with hip hop and trap way back when nobody understood it. So it took some time for people to come and understand it, and now it's a thing.
Yeah. You know, I've had that discussion with a lot of dancers, and we talk about the evolution of the dance. A great point has been brought up several times, which is you don't have evolution in the dance unless there's evolution in the music. In a way, all these people that are upset about, you know, bachata going from this like traditional style of dance into this more modern style, they've got folks like yourself to thank for it.
Exactly. I mean, I think the whole movement that came from New York is the movement that's referred to as bachata. Not to take away from what the pioneers did. The evolution came when New Yorkers, we started creating bachata. People like Lenny Santos, Romeo Aventura, Extreme, SP Polanco, myself, Prince Royce's producer. We developed a new sound, even with the guitarists and the guys that started playing the guitars. They played different, in a different style than what the traditional guys played. So this is the style that's referred to as bachata because this is what everybody goes and lashes on to create new stuff. That's an important thing. That's the evolution of bachata there. And then from there, recently there's been more people going at it, introducing new types of guitars. Like me, I've mixed bachata with country guitars, with this lap steel guitars. I've mixed numerous styles of guitars that people don't think can go with bachata. It needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, what goes into those types of decisions? Like, when do you?
I'm like, hey, nobody did this. It's time for me to do it because it needs to be done. Like I said, my background is R&B, hip hop. That's why I first started to produce. And in that genre is always, we have to top what came before that. So if Dr. Dre something, Timbaland had to do something to impress the next one, and then from there, the next guy had to do something even more impressive. So to me, I want to impress you. I want to give you something you never heard before. I want you to feel like, hey, even if you don't understand it at first, later on you're going to be like, hey, this guy Prophex crazy.
Yeah.
He put a lap steel guitar in a bachata and nobody did that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your dance background, because you said that, you know, you have a little bit of a dance background, right? Somewhat?
Well, I come with the factory setting from
Factory settings.
factory settings.
Okay.
You know, I dance the traditional Dominican way,
Yeah.
and also the urban stuff that was danced in New York in the clubs when I was out there dancing. But
Look, it's good that you dance, though, because, see, there's a lot of artists out there that they make such exceptional music, but then they get on the stage and they're like, oh, man, it's like, just sing, man.
what's tough for me is following, you know, the whole, you know, what's being thought at the school.
Yeah.
It's tough for me because sometimes I go to socials or anywhere, they invite me and I'm there, and ladies come on, hey, when you want to dance? And I tell them, I dance, but don't expect me to, you know,
Yeah.
flip you or
Right.
you know what I mean? Those moves they learn specifically there.
Absolutely.
I keep it simple. I got the swag for that. But
Absolutely.
no more than that. That's like
That's all you need. That's all you need.
So
You've worked with a lot of different artists over time. Do you have a favorite in particular?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't. I honestly love working. I love music so much that I love working with everybody because everybody has their ways. For me, at the beginning, is something to just get to understand what your process is and how you go about creating what you do. I respect that because everybody has their own. It's the same way I expect people to respect mine. I respect theirs, but it's just fun having, you know, a variety of ways people can express themselves artistically.
What do you start with? Do you start with like lyrics or a concept? Or
It can vary. Sometimes I'm here with you guys and I can see something that's like, that's interesting. Let me put that in a song, and then I just go from there. Or sometimes I'm just sitting, listening to old music. I'm listening to old music. I'm a fan of all the original music where sampled music of the 90s came from. Mm-hmm. So everything Bad Boy sampled, everything the guys out here in the West Coast sampled. I have a playlist, and this is what I do on my time. This is what I listen to.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for stuff where, oh, that's why he did that. And then I go and I study it a little bit more, And sometimes I start with an idea from somebody else and I turn it into something else. I'm not gonna lie. I'm almost like a sampler type of guy.
Yeah.
Just come from hip hop. We used to sample a lot.
Absolutely.
So I sample a lot, and then I learned to rearrange things around. Hey, let's switch this up. Let's change the chords. You know what I mean?
Do you have any of your contemporary artists that come out as well that you really enjoy what they do?
Well,
Even
I enjoy all of them, bro. Especially the ones that have the unique thing, like Melvin Moore. He's a very unique guy with the way he plays the guitar and the way he interprets. It's very different than what every other guy is doing.
Yeah.
Pinto, he's an excellent guy. What he does is amazing. I'm a fan of everybody else's work. I'm not the type of guy to be like, hey, no, we're in a competition type thing now, because your way of expression is different than mine.
Absolutely.
Everybody expresses their art differently or records their songs towards whatever energy they feel, you know?
Where do you see the sound going, like let's say 5 years from now? Like where do you think bachata is sound-wise?
It's going to where we choose it goes, I think. But like me, I'm big right now. I'm big on the Afro beat. I'm a piano sound, and I recently did an album, and the way I have all the guitars recorded were in the style of those genres. The mainstream artists are afraid because they already have success doing what they do, so they hardly change their formula.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to do as upcoming artists and upcoming producers and everybody is, don't be afraid to go out there and have a different type of guitar that sounds different,
Yeah.
that plays in different styles that's the regular traditional bachata style. Because this is what's going to open up the market for more.
Right.
People will understand it. People that might not understand, the style of how bachata's played, but if then again you throw in a Americana guitar in there or a spaghetti western type sound in your bachata, people in Texas could open up and be like, "Hey, we recognize this from somewhere else, but
Yeah.
you mixing it with bachata is a different thing." So I see an expansion, and I think people are gonna dare to do more as we go.
Do you dabble in any other styles? Like, do you mess with salsa at all? Do you,
I produce merengue,
Okay.
so I also release merengue
So
songs.
let's talk a little bit about that. So merengue, I had Derek Vinci on
Yeah.
several episodes ago.
Okay.
He kind of made a somewhat controversial statement because he was talking about how essentially salsa and merengue are dead. What is your feeling on it?
Well, they're dead as far as not too many artists. A genre itself supported by a lot of artists doing the same thing. Right now, merengue, the old school guys are set. They still play. They still get booked. But there are no new emerging artists coming out saying, "Hey, I'm a merengue artist. Hey, I'm a salsa artist."
Why is
there are
that?
very few. Because ever since production became so digital, it's very cost effective to just produce your stuff in a computer. Even bachata and stuff, it's simpler, it's less instruments. When you record a merengue, you need a band, you need about 12 to 15 musicians, and you got to pay each one of them.
Got it. That makes sense.
So it's very expensive to record merengue, it's very expensive to record salsa. So when you see a lot of these mainstream artists pick the genre and make a song with it, they're successful. Bad Bunny, for example. He did a merengue. He went to the Dominican Republic. He got the band. He did a merengue. Huge hit. Manuel Turizo did the same thing with bachata.
Right.
There's a kid named Christian Alicea that does salsa, killing it right now. I don't think they're dead. I just think that not enough people are doing them. So it's not a genre like before that we were competing 4, 5, 6 different guys at the same time, all upcoming, but now it's not like that.
Do you think that bachata is going to reach a point where it's just overexposed, or do you think that it's still niche enough to where it's going to last for?
Well, but to me, bachata split up into two. There's the people in the Dominican Republic who are the legends. No new artists are coming out of the Dominican Republic. The two mainstream artists that we do have, we need more. We only have Romeo Santos and we have Prince Royce. We need more. We need more guys up there with them, but doing something different. Like, if we get more guys imitating them or doing what they do, then it's like people are gonna be like, okay, but I'm already getting that from those guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we on our level know of a bunch of new artists, right? So why do you think that those artists are not necessarily getting pushed to reach
To that
those type
point,
of
to,
heights?
to reach those points, has to do with the way the business, the mainstream business works. Because those two guys I mentioned to you are mainstream artists. So in order to get into mainstream, you have to have some sort of backing. It can't be independent. Like right now, our genre, the genre that the dance scene supports, is an independent genre. We're all indie.
Yeah.
None of us have a record label behind us.
But why is that? Because I mean,
It
there's
works.
great music.
It works, but I still don't see how just the dance scene can make an artist take an artist to that level.
Got it.
Still not there. It can be there in a couple of years. The dancers need to be taught a little bit more education on what the real songs and the real sound of bachata and the real guys that are doing things different are, and that those are the people that they should support. But not to take away from what DJs do, but there's so many remixes being put out that it hurts us independent artists. Because in one night, a DJ plays a whole set of just remixes and doesn't play one independent artist. It hurts us that are killing ourselves in the studio making original music for enjoyment. So that's one thing to look at also. Not that I knock what they do, because we need that in order for growth.
Right.
We need that. But at the same time, at some point there has to be a balance.
Right.
And somebody that comes along and says, listen, it's dope, all your remixes are dope, but we also need to support up and coming artists.
Agreed. So let's let that be a lesson to us DJs out there. We still got Invincible sitting over here. Let's play more original stuff. No, Vince is not a perpetrator of that. He likes to play all the original stuff.
And then another thing that's been happening, I get wind that things are happening, like a lot of DJs or producers. If you don't have a song with that DJ,
Yeah.
he's not going to play you.
Right.
He's only going to play his remixes that night. So that's something that along the lines, I guess, I don't know how we're going to figure out how to balance out.
It seems like you're very supportive of everybody and everybody that's doing different things, and that's dope. But is there anything that you've heard that gives you pause as like, I don't know if we should be going in that direction?
Well, that's one of those things, remixing. Over remixing.
Okay.
It's too much. Could be too much.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, there's no quality control over there. So sometimes there's guys that do it tastefully, and then there's people that just do it to do it and be down with what's going on.
Bongo chata.
And little by little, that has been corrected with a couple of guys that used to do it and were popular for it. They've been correcting it.
Yeah.
But then, some others are following. They want to get to the point where they're at, so they figure, let me start the same way, and it's a mess.
Have you ever reached out to any of these DJs and been like, yo, like, I got new stuff. Have it?
I do. I reach out. Some of them do, some of them don't.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
How is it like, navigating your relationships with different DJs and different organizers and people that are kind of at the front lines of people hearing your music?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've collaborated with DJs on remixes and stuff like that. I have actually produced before. I produced a bunch of remixes for DJs, but the right way. It's not about not doing it. It's just doing it the right way, tastefully, not just like you said, bongo chata.
Right.
Not like that.
So you live in Montreal.
Yeah.
How did you end up there?
Well, I first lived in New York. Part of the scene in New York as far as a producer. I had a recording studio, and then I was like, I wanted to try something new, so I went down to Miami. I went down to different places, and during that time, I met somebody, and I met a girl, and she was from Montreal.
There you go.
I went there to visit,
and
I was like, hey, I like this. So I was still in New York, living in New York, and she would come down to visit. I would come down to visit Montreal, and then one day we're like, okay, who's moving where?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't mind. I like it over there because it was much more calm
Right.
than what I had in New York.
Yep.
So there we are.
Yeah, that's
Love
conquers
does
all.
things.
Nice. Okay. Have you actually lived in the DR at all, or?
Yeah. I grew up in DR till I was 6.
Okay. All right.
And then I would go every summer on school vacation, and be with my grandparents and my whole family there. Then as a teen, I lived there again for 2 years. That's when I really got introduced to more of what the young kids were doing at the time, which was more like hip hop in Spanish, and the reggaeton was starting to come up. And then I went back to New York, and that's when I started working in studios and then listening to the urban music. And then then I met the guys that were doing the bachata urbana, and then I was like, hey, I love this.
Have you been in DR and heard your music played there?
Played there, yeah, yeah.
And what's that like?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing that but honestly, what they like there more from everything I've done is more of the traditional stuff. They understand it more because it's closer to home instead of like the more sensual stuff. They're like, they might not understand it as much, or sometimes the things I talk in sensual songs are things they don't connect with because it's more geared towards the dancers. So when I say I want to see you dance in certain ways and do this, they don't hear that in their songs there, in the traditional songs,
Yeah. What is the reception like?
Well, the reception is like, hey, this is something new.
Yeah. Do they hate on it at all? I guess is what I'm going. Do they hate
The
on
older
it, or-
people do because they don't understand the fact that I'm not interpreting a song like Frank Reyes would or El Torito would. I'm kind of spitting like urban lyrics
Yeah.
to a bachata beat that sounds like the stuff they like. So they're like, oh, this is something my son would like,
Right.
because he listens to like the dembow, he listens to the merengue urbano. So he's like, I've had people come up to me after shows. Like I recently was in Alaska, and an older gentleman, he went out. He was like, "Hey, I was expecting to hear some Frank Reyes stuff, but I like what you do. But that's something for my son to like." I was like, "Don't. I cannot do the same thing he's doing. He's been doing it for years. It's something exactly for new generations."
I don't want to pass over this. What is the bachata scene like in Alaska?
It's nice. It's nice. They have schools. They have a movement.
Okay.
They have a movement. It was mixed when I went. It was mixed. It was like half the dancing people and half regular people that were out having a good time, and everybody was having fun. Man, it was amazing.
Well, you've traveled a lot of places, obviously. What's your favorite place that you've been?
Well, my favorite place is honestly San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah,
I
I've
love
come
San
there,
Diego.
but I've come there so many times. Before I performed at Sevilla a couple of times. Ever since the first time I came there till like now, I always feel like San Diego I don't know why.
Yeah.
Feels good when I'm there.
Look, San Diego is a special place. I love San Diego. I've said that before on the show. I'm really good friends with Terrence, who, I had him on one of my
I produce a lot of Terrence's music and write with him too.
Yeah. So what is it like working with an artist that is up and coming and that's brand spanking new and really doesn't know anything about the game at all?
Well, like somebody like Terrence, let's say Terrence.
Right.
Let's take Terrence, for example. To me, I see it as a vision of taking it to the next level. An African American doing bachata, he loves our music, and he's really passionate about it. So him or anybody else that's willing to kind of come into a culture and embrace it and love it is a sign that we're growing as a genre, because we have to accept everybody else, because like I said, going back to everybody has something to express and a way to express it. So when I see him and other people I produce that I would never imagine would do bachata, to me it's like, wow, this is something dope, because somebody's coming to like take it to somewhere else where we were not thinking, interpreting wise and whatnot, So
Yeah.
To me, something that makes me feel like we're doing something and we're headed into a good direction.
Out of all the projects that you've written and produced, do you have a favorite?
Favorite for other people or for myself?
Both.
For myself, I really, over the years, and it's like it's always been there, is we love bachata. Because I think I was the one who came up with the term, and people, I've never claimed it like, hey, I came up with that.
Yeah.
And I've seen people call their festivals that. I've seen people name their socials that. I've seen people, do all type of things with it, and I've never came out to be like, hey, you know why? Because I think it's something much more than just something that I came up with. It's a staple in the game that was like, hey, we love bachata because this is what we do.
Yeah.
We dance bachata and this is what we live by every day. So we love bachata, bro. So I think that's the most special song for me.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't have all the numbers and all that, but it's still anybody that knows me, especially in the West Coast, knows me because of this song.
And then for someone else?
And then for someone else, I don't want to mention the artist because the thing is, there's conflicts, and I never got credit. But
Uh-oh.
there's one big artist that has one big song. I wasn't part of writing the song. I was part of the production. I actually produced the song for one of my songs first. Then later on, he took the instrumental and he wrote his own song. And I think it's his biggest song. It's not Romeo, but it's the other guy.
Uh-oh.
But I think I'm happy he did what he did, even if we have our differences, and because he does it, he does it for the love of. We both love bachata. I guess he loves bachata too. Mm-hmm. And we both come. His parents are Dominican. I was born there, so I think we're doing something good for la música de nuestro país.
What's that like? Just navigating the business side of things, right?
It's tough. It's tough. I've had a lot of business heartbreaks, if you can say, because sometimes when you go more on, hey, this feels good, I feel like we're good friends, I feel like nobody's gonna do me wrong, and you don't take care of the business side, it comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, you don't have to say any names, but now I'm gonna ask you, what's one of the most negative experiences that you've had in the industry?
Well, that, not doing the business right, and then somebody being mega successful with things you were part of, and not getting the credit you deserve.
How did you handle a situation like that? Like, what do you...
I mean, to me, it's like, this is the way I see it. If I was able to create that, I can create something better.
That's true.
So I'm never stuck on, I can't do this, or this sounds good, I could do something better, always. I always try to outmatch myself first before anybody else. And I'm not afraid to reach out to others and be like, listen, bro, we can do this together and we could come up with better things, or we can work together,
Do you see yourself doing anything other than what you're doing right now?
Well, the thing is, I could do other genres, I can do other things, but this is what I love, music. I love producing, I love creating. I love being a visionary, not trying to stick to the same thing over and over. Like, that's one thing I can't do, I can't just say, hey, I'm going to release 10 songs, they're all going to sound the same. There has to be something that sets it apart from what everybody else is doing.
Do you have any interest in signing any artists under you?
Well, this is what I have. I have my own, I have a brand apart from what Prophex is, which is Bachata Gang.
Okay.
And with Bachata Gang, I fiddle with, I still haven't found the right people as far as like, I want to sign them and lock them down. But right now, with the guys I'm working with, they're pretty good, and they're amazing, and we're putting out dope songs. They do covers, they do, if they have ideas, I put them out under that brand until I find the guys that I can say, hey, let's stop doing everything else. Let's just concentrate on doing this concept together. But till then, the name is running and the concept is running as a group.
Yeah.
Different voices that interpret bachata in different ways.
What do you look for in an artist?
Well, hard work has to be there, and a work ethic as far as being on top of, hey, I need to release music, I need to create new songs, I need to, I want to be different, I don't want to sound like everybody else. That's something that really stands out for me.
What about artistically?
Artistically, like, it can't be that, hey, I like bachata and I'm just, I like how Prince Royce sounds, let me imitate him. It has to be something unique there,
I know you said you kind of like everybody and, that you respect everybody's, but is there one person in particular that you look at and you're like, damn, I just love what that dude does?
Up and coming or in general?
Up and coming.
As a producer or as an artist?
As an artist.
As an artist. Wow, the thing is, there's so many guys right now, bro, that I can't pinpoint just one that's like, only this guy is like, hey, I like this from this guy, I like that from this guy. So it's a few of them.
Okay, well then give me three different
artists. Give you
artists.
top three
that
I like right now. I like Danny J, what he does. I like Pinto, what he does. And I like, let me see, a female artist. Try to get the females in there.
Yeah.
Not too many, but
I know.
I wish there was one artist I wish she would work more, or I don't know what I don't know what her thing is, but I really like this artist, which is Ellie Jazz.
Okay.
She's really like her way of interpreting and everything. I really love what she does, but she doesn't put out as much music.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard, or maybe I haven't. I just didn't realize it. I have to look
Tu
that
me
up.
haces volar. Tu me haces volar is not, that's a merengue, but she has some bachatas that are super dope, and I think she's unique.
Where's she
I've tried to reach out to work with
Okay.
her. I think she needs she needs to realize there's something big out here that she could take.
And then for the heck of it,
Producers?
Yeah.
Well, SP Polanco, he has some hits apart from what he's doing now. Like there's some legendary hits he's done, and he respects my work. I respect his work, and he's super dope. Romeo as a producer, he's an amazing guy as a producer. Not only as an artist, because he's behind every concept, every idea.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's the top of the top. We cannot say anything else.
He's been up there for a long time, though. At some point,
Exactly.
somebody's gotta, climb the mountaintop. Why hasn't somebody like him, I've seen him work with a lot of like traditional artists, right? He did a whole album where he just went to DR and just got every legendary.
I honestly
traditional
don't
artist,
know.
right? But he's never snatched up a smaller independent artist.
I don't know. It's super weird. I know he's shown support for Xavi Leon. He's shown support for JR a lot. Like even posted them, but it's time. I think he hasn't had the time to sit down and really analyze. Look, this guy does that. This guy does that. This guy does that. I need this guy to do something with.
Yeah.
I think it's about time. It's a time thing. He's always either working on his album or he's working on a tour. So he doesn't have the time to really sit and analyze and go through things and pick and choose who he would want to work with.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure if he gets wind of a lot of the different guys right now, putting out independent and working independent without that push, he would be impressed.
He should have his own label by now.
Which is the order of things, but
Right.
natural order of a musician with a visionary musician.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all makes
All the
sense.
big guys did it that way. Eminem, Murder Inc. We can go back to so many people in successful markets where you can go get the blueprint from to do it again.
Absolutely. I mean, they do that in reggaeton all the time as well.
Exactly. We seen Yandel.
Yeah.
They've signed guys that then go on to become big stars too.
So do you think that that's kind of the natural next step for the bachata scene?
I hope it is. And if he doesn't make it happen, hey, there's guys like me and other guys that are willing to make up for it. Like, let's find new kids that are coming up and produce them.
I overheard you mention at some point during this weekend that were you in some kind of a group?
I was producing for a group.
Oh, you're producing a group.
There was a group, Unique, that came. That was the first group I came to California with,
Okay. Bachata group?
a bachata group.
All right. And how was that experience?
That was was groundbreaking for me because I got to travel to a lot of markets, and this is when I started to see that the whole social dancing thing was kind of taking off.
And you managed them or?
I produced with them. They were
Okay.
managed by somebody else, but I would travel with them.
Got it.
I was part of the show. I caught on stage and did one song with them. That reassured to me that there was more to bachata than just being played on the radio or being successful back in the Dominican Republic. Because every bachatero's dream is to be successful in the Dominican Republic. But not every bachatero gets that. Those guys are the guys. The only one that's accepted there's Romeo, nobody else.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough
And
because
even that was debatable for a while.
and even that's why I guess he had to collaborate and show people, listen, I can hang with these guys.
Yeah.
Our roots are really picky with the bachata, and they got used to only that style. There was no evolution when these guys were doing it. So when we got to like the 2000s, there were no kids doing bachata.
Yeah.
Still the same guys. El Torito, Frank Reyes, Elvin Martinez, you name them. They were the guys, and those are the guys, and there's no more guys.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the team, and there's no bench.
Right. Do you play any instruments?
Not physically, but on the computer,
Okay.
I mess around. And
Yeah.
and create my stuff.
Okay.
And then I work with a lot of, talented musicians that do.
Have you found that to be something that has made it harder for you to make music, or an asset in some sort of odd way? And
To me, it's an asset because when I go to musicians with my ideas and what I create, before they emulate and add their flow to it, it's like they're like, how did you do this? Like, I know you don't play guitar, but you did this, and I don't even know if I could do it.
yeah,
So it's like I look at it from a different point of view than what they're used to.
yeah.
So to me, it's a creative asset, being from like looking from outside of the world that they're in musically.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, even on the dance side of things, I don't speak Spanish. People are like, oh, well, how do you like dance? Well, to be honest, it was an asset in a weird way because I was never focused on lyrics. I was always focused on musicality because that's all I can hear. I hear words, and I understand Spanish to a certain degree, but not to the level to where I'm going to get lost in what's being said.
Okay.
So, it sounds like a similar situation.
Exactly. So you use it to your advantage, and then you learn along the way.
Right.
I've learned a lot from different musicians, from keyboard players. I've learned so much.
Have you ever been in a setting where you wanted to do something and whoever you were working with was like, it just can't be done?
Well, there's ideas sometimes I have that certain musicians tell me I'm not gonna do it. That's too crazy. So I have to find somebody who's willing to do it.
Oh, okay. So you just move
So
on
I
to
got
somebody else.
but and then some people will tell me, hey, that what you're trying to do is just tú ta loco. How are you gonna pull it off?
Yeah.
I'll pull it off. Don't worry.
Look,
It's just finding your way around it.
if you have a vision, you just gotta find somebody that's willing to walk
Exactly,
the line
exactly.
with you.
So I'm persistent in that aspect. Sometimes even in the mix, I want to switch it up, and it gets tough sometimes.
Where do you see yourself personally, as an artist, as a producer in a year from now?
Well, I got a lot of projects in the works right now. I got projects not just as an artist, but also as a producer, where I'm producing tracks for other artists, and we'll be releasing like a compilation with different artists. I already have songs. I already have 4 songs. I have one song with Johnny the Boys. I have one song with Bachata Heights. I also want people to understand that, I'm not just an interpreter.
Yeah.
That I got creative stuff as a producer also. So I'm growing more in the aspect as a producer.
Okay. What do you enjoy doing more, producing or being an artist?
Both.
Both
I
equally?
can't take away from one or the other because I enjoy them equally.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll create a song for me, and then I'm like, you know what, this is better if somebody else interprets it.
Interesting.
And I feel the same way, and I feel the same pride, and I feel the same enjoyment in giving it to that person to interpret.
Is that kind of a difficult thing to do, knowing that you've created something for yourself that you want to share, and then you're like,
No, because you also have to realize that sometimes you know your limits or what you're capable of and what another person is capable of. So that's it. It's a tough choice. And sometimes I've given songs to artists and they're like, no, I don't like it.
Oh, really?
And then I do the song and it's like, then they come back like, yo, I should have done the song. Because look now, not like We Love Bachata, it was not for me.
Yeah.
And this is the song people basically started to know me
Right.
for.
Interesting. So you wrote that for someone else?
Yeah, specifically for somebody else,
Oh,
not for
okay.
me. I demoed it. And it's crazy. Vince was playing the demo, the original demo, without the guitars, without the real guitars. And that's the song. That song got out like that. I don't know how it got out,
You got
but that
somebody-
song got around without there's nothing real in the recordings. Only the bongos are real. Everything else was demoed I created it on the computer.
You got somebody leaking your stuff, man.
So that
You got a mole.
that's crazy. So then after that, in the same way, people will write songs to instrumentals that I create, and then I have a different song, and then they'll write a different song for somebody else. Like Pinto has written songs for another artist with my instrumentals. I still get credited,
Yeah.
but it's something they created on their own without me, just my inspiration as the instrumental.
It feels kind of messy, like how some of it comes together, but I
But
guess
at
as
the end
long
of
as
the
everybody
day,
gets their
it's a cool thing, bro.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
All right. Well, with that said, I appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because on this particular show, we've heard all the different experiences of so many different dancers and everything like that, but we don't get a chance to really hear too much of the stories of people that are producing music and that are giving us the reason that we're all here.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you, sharing that with us. Keep it up. I'm rooting for you. Everybody's rooting for you. And hopefully as bachata takes itself to the next level, you're on that ride with it.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody here, and I appreciate this weekend. Amazing.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Prophex.
Thank you.